Yeah, because I met you guys at one and we had a little gap in between.
Yeah, that's where we met you,
Yes.
luckily.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I wanted to ask you about that. So I remember when we met that you were saying that you were nervous about like, I don't know if you, I can't remember if you were nervous about
Oh yeah,
just the process of looking at the house or meeting with a realtor, but there was something about it that made you nervous. Do you remember what
I
that
was
was?
nervous because I felt awkward walking into a stranger's home without them being there.
Okay.
I've never been a homeowner. I've always rented my whole life since I was a little kid. So being in someone's house without like knowing anyone and just like walking through their personal belongings, that just felt a little weird to me. So
Okay.
that's why I was
Okay.
a little nervous for that.
I was
That's an,
excited.
you were excited.
I'm
Okay.
like, Zillow, we have to find a house. That's yeah.
Well, it's interesting because there's always a different perspective. Like I've never had anybody say that. I've had people say they were nervous about meeting with a realtor because they didn't know if we were going to be pushy and
Oh,
what was going to happen. So that's interesting that going through a house made you feel a
yeah.
little bit uneasy, but you got over that pretty quickly,
Oh yeah,
right? Okay.
Well, we've experienced that, and that's really funny because some buyers do have that little sense of, oh, I'm invading someone's privacy. But then other buyers, they don't care. They open up the food on the counter, they go to the closet. It's like, no, no, no.
We had a buyer. We were in a house. It was our listing, and the buyer was there going through with his agent, and the seller had donuts on the counter, like just a thing of donuts.
yeah.
All covered up in the box.
Yeah, and the buyer walked by.
Oh, and it wasn't for
No.
the
No,
open.
No.
I'd be mad if someone ate my donuts. I would be
Yeah.
pissed.
And he opened it up, looked at I looked at Kelly, was like,
I'm
okay.
thinking if they'd had his favorite variety, he probably would have.
Probably would have.
Okay, so on that topic, so I don't know if you guys are aware. I think you if you have ears, you're aware that it's not that easy for a lot of buyers out there right now.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're touring so many and usually putting in so many offers and losing them, especially buyers who have to get loans, if it and they have to get appraisals and all of that. How did it feel to only see 5 properties in retrospect, put an offer on one, get the offer accepted? I mean, did you realize then what a unicorn that is of an experience?
What an exception was, yeah.
Yeah, so we were actually, while we were doing our own process, we had friends that were also going through their process, and it was the complete opposite, where we were the ones saying like, oh my God, they accepted it after like 2 rounds of negotiation. Well, I think a couple of their offers, their bids got rejected. They were outbid a couple of times, and so they were bearing the brunt of this market right now. And so we just really felt like we felt bad, obviously, and but felt quite lucky that this was our situation, given the fact that it is also our first dip into home property ownership.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what was good about that was I think you guys were very strategic with your offer. I mean, we had that buyer strategy session, so I think you guys kind of understood how the market was and what we needed to do. And as we went through, we pushed as many buttons as we could to make it a strong offer. And so that's credit to you guys, because a lot of times it takes a buyer. So our average buyer, it takes 12 and a half showings to get them under contract. And some are like the second showing, like you guys, because you're strategic with it at the beginning. And we've had some have gone to 46. They just kept losing over and over and over again.
But is it just they couldn't find the right home, or they put bids and it just didn't go through?
That one that went to 46, they lost they lost like 8 or 9 offers. It was crazy. They got down to the last day before they were gonna have to sign their lease. But when they finally got
oh man.
Yeah.
But did they get stuck with their dream home, or like the home they wanted, or
they're happy with it. It was that home that had the potential to turn into a dream home. And so they've been able to do that.
Yeah. Go ahead, Kelly.
Well, I want to hear what you have to say, so don't forget it. But I feel like so many buyers, once you hit that over 12, they get so confused and lost in the muck of it all that they can't even see the vision of what a dream home would be anymore. And with this situation, we even had instances where they said initially, if we could get A, B, and C, then we would jump all over it. And down the line, they ended up getting A, B, and C, and they're like, oh no, and they would back away. And so I think they get into their heads about it.
Yeah. I think it's the same as any sort of application that you have to do, right? So job applications, even dating, you get kind of discouraged when you're like, oh, well, they're not hitting any of these things, or I'm getting rejected. But yeah, I think we were extremely lucky.
Yeah.
Kind of like, because I think we approach it quite logically and practically about
Yep.
these are really our non-negotiables, and there were not a lot.
Right.
And that we were fine to like make it a home for ourselves if those non-negotiables were met. So
Okay.
Okay.
yeah.
So what were your biggest concerns when you went into the process? Like, what were your biggest fears? What were your biggest, like, just since you were first-time home buyers, what were your expectations, and how did you expect it to play out?
Gonna start that.
You just-
Just that we didn't know what
didn't
the
know
process
yeah, we
was
didn't.
like.
Again, I've never been a homeowner. My family has never been a homeowner. So for me, it was always renting. So this new idea, I was never taught about, you know, how much you have to save, anything. So it was a lot of investigating on my own terms of like
Yeah.
research and talking to a lot of different people and all this.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was a lot of I realized they should really teach this in school.
Yeah.
Like one of the topics should be like financial literacy in this.
Yeah.
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 Did you find you already had a little bit of a background with that? We were talking about burring and real estate investments and things like that. Did you guys find that the buyer strategy session at least kind of gave you that bird's eye view, so you kind of understood where you were going to be going in the process?
Yeah, we love your graph, like moving us.
I know you kept
one
asking for the
step
next
to the
step.
next. Yeah, I think that really helped, and you kind of just going over the process helped, and then you know, we obviously then absorbed a lot more resources after that, and
Yeah.
kind of getting familiar with the terminology, read a lot of articles, listened to a lot of podcasts about it. Yeah, we really got into it, I think.
Yeah, because I do think that one of the things that happens is buyers are either very surprised at how much is involved, and like you said, David, about like, oh, wow, what's in the closing costs? You know, do I have to come up with this? Does the seller do this? You know, all of that, to the point that they're like, oh, wait, I need to back out of the market for 6 months and get my ducks in a row.
Yeah.
But then others, they've stayed out of the market for so long because they think they have to come up with so much more.
Yeah.
And then the part of having that whole team with the title and home inspectors and your lender and everything.
Yeah.
And that's actually why, you know, when we first met Sean, the vision changed. We pivoted a lot, like quite a lot. So originally we were looking for this single family home because his friend who was a lender crunched some numbers and gave us a number that we thought was ridiculous, because we were like, how can we afford that, like in reality, in a vacuum probably, but in the reality that we have now, the market that we have now, possibly couldn't. So we looked at the single family home thinking like, yeah, we're ready for it, and then realized, like, after a meeting, went back, we ran the numbers again, and we spoke with friends who own townhomes and single family homes, and realized that we are going to stretch ourselves a little bit thin. We have to sacrifice the things we love to do, like dining out and traveling abroad. And then we also realized we weren't ready yet to fully take on the responsibility of a bigger property.
Right.
And so that was kind of, it wasn't a wake-up call, but a really good grounding conversation of like, what can we really, like, let's manage our expectations so we're not reaching, especially because it was our first foray into this. And so I think we're all the better for that pivot. Yeah,
I think so too. And if everybody would approach it with that level of responsibility and awareness of your life, because it's easy to, I can see myself in a mansion with the pool house.
Yeah.
Like, would I really live like that? No, I mean, we like going out for food, and that we're not the stay at home, hang out by the pool people, even though it looks really, really great. Let's save that for our vacations, right?
Yeah. So do you guys have, we originally talked when we first met, you had the plans for investing and so on. do you still have plans for that? Is that something that you're kind of strategizing for, or what's your next step with regards to more real estate?
Yeah, so I think eventually what we want to do with this property is rent it out. We're in a great location where we're next to American University, and it'll be easily to rent. I think we probably want to be here a couple more years and see where we go from there.
Okay. Yep. Yep. So a question about the actual property with the staging when we walked into it.
Oh, yeah.
Remember how it was staged, and then when we walked in to go through the final walkthrough. So from your perspective as the buyer, what was the difference that you noticed when it was staged versus when it wasn't?
The space and kind of like that we appreciated that it was staged because it gave us kind of the breadth and depth of the space itself.
Yeah.
And the possibility of how we can move furniture around versus being a singular empty space where we have to think, okay, is our couch going to fit here? Because we don't know, we don't have the specs yet.
We don't walk around with the measuring tape and this could possibly fit here.
Yeah.
But I think one thing that really changed is how small the space got once the furniture was gone. I think
that's what I was wondering. Yeah, did it feel bigger?
Like, wait a minute, this looks smaller without furniture. How is that even possible?
It's kind of counterintuitive, isn't it?
Yeah. But they did great. I mean, that just shows how great the staging made it look.
And then now it looks big again because we have furniture finally in some parts of the living area.
We're still working on that.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to ask you on the staging, did you keep, it was mostly white, painted white, beautiful, clean and crisp. Did you keep that? Or once you moved in, did you add any color? I see it's still white behind you, which is gorgeous.
Yes. So I think what we decided on is we are going to wait on the painting. Eventually it is going to happen, but we kind of want to live in the space first. My interior style is pretty much mid-century modern. And so we want base colors and then really have a pop of color with our items, the decorations.
I love that.
Yeah. Okay.
And you said something about
the bathroom.
Yeah, were you guys thinking about remodeling a bathroom?
Yes. And that will happen as well.
Still gonna
I think we're still gonna do it, but maybe not maybe piece by piece.
And again, that's like some expenses you don't get told about, like, hey, if you're gonna remodel a bathroom, it's gonna be another 10 grand. You don't save for because you just spent all this money on a down payment and everything else. So it's
And especially, I mean, your bathroom is certainly not one you would walk into and say, this needs to be remodeled. No, it's
it's
right.
Yep. Okay, so do you have any other questions at this point?
One more question. Buyer's remorse.
Yes. Yep.
I wanted to know if with you guys or with any of your friends, if this happened, and I'm going to explain to you what I mean. A lot of times with buyers, they are working so hard and submitting all these offers, and they give up this and they give up that, and then they finally, it's like, wow, our offer was accepted, and they're almost so completely surprised when they start saying,
what's wrong with the property?
What's wrong with the property?
I think anybody else out there is,
for sure. So it was more of that question of like, is there something wrong with this property? Why is it going so smoothly? Like, why was this so fast when everyone else's experience is unlike this?
I think another thing is the same exact condo 4 floors up hasn't been selling, and we're just like, what is going on? Like, what do they see that we don't see? That still is like, okay, like did we get stuck paying too much? Like, what did we do and stuff like that? I mean, that's the only thing that came through our mind.
And it could be a matter of like the staging. It could be a matter of the marketing for the property. There's all kinds of different reasons why that one may not be selling, and the market may be a little bit different in DC for a condo at this moment right now. So
it just went into contract a few weeks ago.
So someone finally bit the bullet. But again, like, it's a different configuration than ours. It's less updated. They don't have a parking space included. So it was a different situation. Yeah.
But
But it's another example of how you can emotionally get in your head about things.
Yes.
Like you were saying, Adrienne, it's kind of like dating. It's like, okay, if you have two guys that are very, very similar, and one of them, his last two girlfriends just broke up with him in 3 months' time, it's like, wait, what's wrong with him?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly it.
Yeah, but it's just psychology. That didn't happen here. It's just going
I'm
on
like,
the
wait,
example.
where are
No,
you
no, no.
going?
It was decent.
Yeah. So do you guys, from your perspective in hindsight now, first of all, you had, how have things progressed, like from your perspective of home ownership? What changes have you made, like with your mindset and so on? And then what advice would you give to a first-time home buyer that's just now starting to look at this process?
So I can start.
Yeah, you could definitely.
So I think it'll cover
I'll be right back. Our dog.
It's fine.
wants
Ours
my
is going to start barking back here
Every
soon too.
he wants to be in the conversation because he's part homeowner too. But I think for us, we really came at it, like I said, the approach was so logical. We prepared a Google folder for this. See, we had subfolders of with Excel sheets on there. So this is all very organized. And I think that really helped us with the numbers, with the things to do for the move, with the things to do for, that 1 month of paperwork that had to be submitted to the lender, all of that. And so that kind of eased our stress a little bit. From such it is a stressful process, because we had a system and structures in place to keep us moving along smoothly. It helped. And I think, like, for me personally, the switch really came in with furniture. So we kept some of our furniture from our apartment, and then sold a bunch of them because we're like, we want new furniture. We want good furniture that will last long, because it's a place where we're gonna live longer, longer in. And we just didn't. I think it was an overestimation of how much furniture costs. And there was a time when we were just buying, and then we're like, wait, we're running out of cash for this, and we need to reset. And then it was more of a understanding that there needs to be a little bit more patience when it comes to settling into the house. That it's okay that you don't have a credenza just yet. Because it's not like an apartment. You are not signing a 1-year lease that you really have to get the furniture in a few months after you sign the lease, because then you either are going to move on to a different apartment or re-sign the lease. So it was that mindset shift of, we're here in the long run. Like, this is a long commitment versus kind of like year by year commitment for apartments.
Yeah, and that's a good point. You have that longer term mindset, especially coming out of renting, because it's always like that. It's always 1 year chunks that you're thinking.
There's much more of a sense of you're decorating for your life, and for your house, your surroundings, right? When you become a homeowner, and you guys haven't even gone from apartment to a really big single family home. It's very, very similar, but in your mind, it's like, this is my life, not my house.
This is a baby. Like, this is our thing. Like, it's not something that we live in and move out in.
Especially being our first home, this is, hopefully it'll be the first of many. But being our first home, we want to take care of it. We want to make sure it looks nice and all that.
It's going to be so nice too, since it's yours and it's your first time, when you guys get that itch of, gosh, I think I might want to paint the bedroom a different color, and you don't have to ask anybody. You can just do it. You don't have to get permission from them.
That's very weird to me, because like, all right, I'm not getting in trouble for something.
Yeah, somebody's about to yell at me about this.
Even when we have to rent it out, I was like, okay, do I got to change it back to white or what it is?
Yeah.
And that's actually I want to point that out where like I think I think it worked out really well that we transitioned slowly from, like we said, Kelly, from an apartment format to between an apartment format and a single family home. Because with these types of, they offers maintenance hours here. There's an on-call maintenance person that can help us with the little things, right? Whereas, which is what we were used to in an apartment. Whereas if we had jumped straight to a single family home, we're like, we're not connected. We have to figure ourselves out. And so it's like, I'm more at peace doing this than like jumping straight. So I think that would be an advice as well, to really, to know where you're at in life. If you're ready for that responsibility and commitment.
Yeah, not to say I'm not a handyman, but there's just some things I can't do. Right?
Yeah, we talked about outlets and different things like that.
It's
it's not too hard to do, but
I was able to fix everything the inspector said to fix, so that's good.
Awesome. Okay, there you go. That's how you start learning it too. This one is like the ultimate handyman. She
I want to be a handyman when I grow up.
She keeps telling me, she's like, I just want to go work on a job site as a handyman. And I'm like, okay.
I even put feelers out. I'm like, hey, if you need trades, I'll be your gopher and you teach me. I love it.
Yeah, she loves me in the middle of that.
Yeah.
Well, was there anything in the process, just from beginning to end, that you can think of that we could have done differently, or that we could have done that would help future buyers like more efficiently, or make the process easier for them?
More of or less than or anything.
No, I think we got pretty lucky with, I mean, because we didn't go searching for you guys. We literally, we were like, oh my God, let's go look at this house. But how do we look at this house? Do we just walk in? So I think Zillow had the feature where, you talk to you.
Contact the agent,
and then we're able to go look at the house. And then that's when, we talked to all our friends about, you like, hey, if you ever need to buy a house, you gotta talk to Sean and Kelly.
I appreciate that. Yeah, that's awesome.
But no, I feel like
I think like a list of resources other than like the strategy session, like it would be great to get a list of like just more learning resources around the buying process. Yeah,
that is.
There we go. Okay, so learning resources, not necessarily vendors, but just kind of like learning, like options to learn more.
We were talking about this yesterday. We want to know like more real estate terms, like stuff that
like terminology, like a terminology list of what does closing cost mean, like, or what does or like terminology about
the loans,
the house itself too.
Okay.
The stuff that normal, like we wouldn't know about, like stuff like that.
Okay.
What if we, like the buyer strategy session that you guys did with Sean, what if after that you were given almost like a little booklet that went over the same thing, and you had your graph that you wanted, and at the beginning it had a glossary of terms, if the term exactly talking about, and I think that's a good idea. I think that would be.
And the graphs show our actual pictures moving from one step to the other. Just
faces on the graph.
Like the big head thing, jumping from step to step.
It'd be a two-headed graph for you guys.
Yeah, two-headed.
I think that would help a lot. So that then there's just references, like if we're not speaking with you, then we can look through the booklet.
But I do feel like anytime we had a question, you guys were always there to answer anything, like
at like weird hours too. So
okay, good.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
We try to keep it weird. Albuquerque or something. I think a lot of cities have that.
Try to keep it weird. Well, do you have any other questions, or?
I don't think I do. I love your condo. I was so happy when that was the one you guys put an offer on. I remember being, yes, I love the light fixtures over the.
We got super lucky.
The floors now.
What'd you do? Did you change the floors?
No.
No.
I love the fact that they're this type of hardwood. It's amazing.
Yeah. And you had the USBs in the outlets. I know
Yeah.
that was a big
Very
deal.
important.
And we're adding, I think we're gonna add motion censored lighting in the closet too, where they,
Hey,
Nice.
Where we need lights, yeah.
yeah.
How are you
Yeah.
guys liking the brass sink? Is that
yeah.
going well? The kitchen sink,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone that has come in, so that's also the thing with like having patience and selling in slowly, is that I don't know when the housewarming party is really
Oh, yeah,
gonna
we
be.
haven't done.
I don't know if it's next year, who knows?
Yeah.
But the people that we have, our family friends that have come in, the kitchen is their
The
main
spot,
thing. Like,
yeah,
oh
the
my
spot.
God, what a
It's a
nice
beautiful kitchen.
It is.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
beautiful.
It is.
I get to watch TV and cook at the same time, which is
Yeah, yeah. Which was part of what we,
yeah,
yeah.
it's the best.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that. Okay, this has been really, really great. Do you have any?
We got questions for you though.
Yes, okay, here we
So,
go.
as a real estate agent, what do you want first-time home buyers to be prepared before contacting you? Or should we just come in as in not knowing anything and ask you all the questions?
I prefer personally
Fresh.
because then a lot of times when especially first time home buyers, when they have a resource that's filling them up with opinions and things like that, it may not be accurate for this market, or
Okay.
it just may be inaccurate altogether, or it could be just there's so many things that sometimes we have to help people unlearn, and we have to kind of convince them. And I think
Yeah.
that was a benefit for you guys was we did the buyer consult. You didn't have preconceived notions. When we wrote the offer, you understood how to write a strong offer. The reason a lot of buyers go to 12 and a half showings is because it takes them 2 or 3 before they're like, oh, you're serious. We actually do have to do
Right.
this. And this, we will get beat if we do
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
You guys just accepted the reality. So I would prefer fresh personally.
Yeah, or even if not completely fresh, at least open to understanding they can't take the advice of in 3 different areas. One, like you mentioned, is advice from friends or family from other parts of the area, not even just outside of Virginia, but the whole DMV area. And even with our little pocket, the state's contracts are all very different. What's allowed and what's not allowed, those are all very, very different. So even if they're engaging in conversations with people from other areas, that's not the case in Virginia DMV,
Yeah.
DC DMV, right?
Yeah, or Maryland, county by county.
Right.
It's crazy.
The second is their lender. Let's say they've just clicked on .com to get their rate,
Yeah.
and they say, oh, hey, I can qualify for $1 million house. So then they go and they tell their realtor, no, I'm pre-qualified and pre-qualified. We're not gonna push you to get your real pre-qualification yet. We're gonna show you around, but then when they actually get the real numbers, it's like, oh, wait, it was maybe 725.
Yeah.
And not only have they wasted their time, but they've also done something to their heads.
Yeah.
They're looking at what they can actually afford. They don't want any of it
It's a
anymore because
downgrade,
they
yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
So that really bites them in the foot.
Yeah.
The third thing.
I'm gonna be impressed if you remember this. I knew it. I knew he was gonna go away. It'll come back in a minute.
It'll come back.
I'll interrupt somebody
Next
in a minute.
question.
Any questions?
He prepared the question.
Forgot my other question.
So both of you guys we're gonna get off the Zoom and you're both gonna be like,
You're like,
"Yes,
ah,
I-"
damn.
Hold on. I think I
He
wrote
wrote
it
it down. You wrote it down.
Okay,
Well,
good.
just while he's looking that up, you guys were fantastic to work with as far as like
Thank you.
well, just communication and
Yeah.
I didn't. Sometimes we can have some difficulty with buyers just with communication or with being on the same page and everything. And you guys were it was fantastic. So like you said, it was a very smooth transaction, but that's a lot with you guys, even dealing with the dog. I mean, that's something that we didn't get the answer until right towards the end of the
Yes,
process.
that
but
was.
you guys were being patient with it, you know.
That
so-
was really we either will move or not.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. But yeah, so credits to you guys on that. Yeah.
Thank
Did
you.
did you find your question?
No, one thing I wanted to point out was the team that we worked with that you brought to us. Because like I said before, the first person I talked to was a mortgage lender that was my friend.
Right.
And it felt kind of bad when he didn't have the best offer for me. So I had to essentially say, hey, I kind of going with Tatiana. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry about that, but I mean, in the end, it's all business. Like, it's nothing personal. It's like, if she could save me, over 100,000 in the 30-year period, like,
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer.
Right.
I don't really care.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. You're not going to write your friend a check for $100,000.
yeah,
You know?
yeah, exactly. So I think that's the team that you put around us, from the mortgage lender to, the titling. I think everything went so smooth, and yeah, we couldn't be happier.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh,
Awesome.
and that's also another thing that I like, maybe another takeaway and could be an advice is that, yes, we will make memories in this home. Like, this is ours. There's emotion, linked to it, but treating it as a business transaction that should be beneficial to your financial stability, like financial state, is probably, again, like another plus way to, like, it was a plus point for our approach, because we considered what we thought was best for that like frame of mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a really, really good approach, because you're right. We can walk into a house and somebody loves the house, and it's got 1970s wallpaper and a nice fir green carpet and all that, and they just love that shag. Yeah. Fur. And but then, when they go to sell the house, the value just isn't there. And you try to convince them logically, hey, we need to change the carpet, paint the walls and stuff like that. And they can't get to that logical aspect.
Right.
So the emotional part is great when you're living there,
Mhm.
but you're right, the approach to buying it and the approach to
Yeah.
leaving it, or whatever you do afterwards, needs to be truly
Yeah.
logical. And that's the beauty about real estate, is it is an asset. It does grow in value.
Right.
There can be a logical, and you can put numerical values on it
Yeah.
and make decisions based on that. It doesn't. So I think that's a great perspective.
Well, and having that buyer realtor interview at the outset before anyone starts looking and saying, okay, what are, like you said, your non-negotiables, what are your goals and your financial needs?
Yeah.
So that we're here to help people not get emotionally in their
Right.
heads about things.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
It's like,
Right. Yeah.
okay, I know you love it, but it's a reality check. Remember these things that you said, is this, and kind of bring it to you. At the end of the day, it's your call.
Yeah. Yeah, because we've had buyers get caught up in bidding wars where they're like, their budget was 700 and they're now at 900. And we're like, whoa, this is why we came up with this budget before the
Right.
election started.
Right.
So yes. Yeah, so that gives us a chance to kind of be that boundary to get.
Yeah, I think before starting out, we had a set point of how much we're going to spend monthly. I think
Yeah.
that's the way we looked at it. Like,
Yeah, not the actual the whole thing, but like, how much is this gonna look like monthly with like our food budget, with our going out budget, with the insurance, the taxes, the HOA.
Yeah.
HOAs are expensive out here, that's for sure.
That's the
True.
truth.
Yeah, but you have a maintenance crew.
Oh, yeah.
It's like
Right
it's,
here.
you have a maintenance staff on retainer is
That's
what your
right.
condo dues
Right,
are.
that's what we're paying for.
Well, that's another thing. They don't fix everything. So,
Right.
if you want some stuff done, then you definitely got to pay a little extra. But yes, it's always good. Like, if something were to happen, we could have someone out here the same day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Very good. All right. You guys have anything else?
No, just like utmost appreciation
Yeah.
for like,
Yeah.
being so responsive to our needs and kind of getting us to like a good point of understanding and like
Yeah.
knowledge, a lot of knowledge and learning.
Well, and as you guys start looking forward, wanting to get to the investment part,
Yeah.
we have investment resources that we shot and stuff like that. But questions that you guys have, as they come to mind, shoot them to me, because I'm
Oh,
always
yeah.
looking to get that stuff on video. So
Yeah.
we
Like
can kind of,
understanding what a HELOC is. Like I don't like, or
Yeah, that's one thing. Like, HELOC versus,
the whole
and
thing.
just refinancing in itself. Like, how does that work? Are we taking our own money out? Like, that's stuff that I don't know. Like, I've watched so many videos and I still like can't grasp the fact of like, okay, what money is coming out? What do we have to? Does the home price or the home we have to another $400,000? Like, how do we? Yeah, it's stuff like
It's
that.
all
yeah, answer it. Go.
So you can refinance, assuming your credit has stayed really, really great, you can refinance as early as 6 months out. Different lenders are going to have different rules. It's either going to have to lower your monthly payment or lower the interest rate, which is most likely not going to be the case or you can take equity out, right? But usually you need to have enough equity in your house to refinance, which is going to pay off that previous balance that you have on your mortgage,
Okay.
as well as the closing costs, because you will have to pay new closing costs on a refinance, and then leave you whatever is left over based on your goals and the lender that you choose. So it would be no cash out of pocket. It would either lower the rate, the term, or your payment, and
then
within 6 months.
If you had enough equity, like if your appreciation had grown to a point, let's say you have 40% equity and you have 80%, you could get that 20% cash back.
Okay.
So that would be, it would be the equity that has come with the appreciation of the property. It's in the mortgage, but you can get that cash back.
So that's a cash out refi.
Okay.
Then a HELOC is a home equity line of credit. So you're keeping the mortgage that you have, but then you're going to get a separate loan that is going to have closing costs. It'll probably have a higher interest rate than a mortgage would, but it's like its own line of credit, almost like a credit card that
You're a loan, basically. So you're
Yeah.
going to be paying two loans.
correct.
Well, if you're renting it out, then they would pay for that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So HELOCs, if you're looking from an investment perspective, HELOCs are better for if you're looking for short-term money. Because you take, like, if you have $100,000 HELOC, you take that $100,000, you put it into an investment, you get that money back in 6 months, you pay off the HELOC.
Also,
And then that way you have like liquid and you can
also to be able to keep using it, right?
Yeah.
So if you have $100,000 HELOC and then you pay it down to 75,000, well, you can use that 25K again, you know, and keep paying it down. Whereas if you refinance, it's like a mortgage loan. Once you pay it, you're just paying it down to nothing. You can't keep using this that you've paid down.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, so but with that refinance, you're going to have a lower interest rate. So for example, if you guys are renting this property out, and let's say you've got $500,000 in equity, if you want to use the money to flip properties, or if you want to use the money to have the cash to buy a property and then pay it off when you refinance that property, the HELOC would be the way to go. If you want
Especially
to,
since you have a relatively to now rates, you have a lower interest rate, so
Right.
you want to keep that little baby all nice and
all
happy.
protected, yeah. If you're looking for more of a long-term, like cash out refi, just to take that money out, use it, then you would do a cash out refi, because that would be your long-term aspect. And that money is tax-free. So it's like a bonus paycheck while the tenant still pays
I
their
was
money.
going to ask about that. Like, that's a lot of money. Is the IRS going to come tax it?
No, because it's debt. No, and that's what investors do. They'll buy a rental property. They'll let that rental property appreciate for 5 to 7 years. They'll refinance it. They're not only cash flowing that, but then once they refinance it, they can take a chunk out. It's tax free, and now the tenant's still covering that. So it's like every 5 to 7 years, you get yourself a nice little bonus, and you still have the depreciation.
Are you back to paying the same amount as like?
No, you're paying your new mortgage amount.
Yeah, but it adds years because it like resets.
Okay, it resets the whole process.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically you're
with
using,
hopefully with a lower interest rate, right?
That's the goal.
it could be with lower interest rate. Yeah, you just have to run the numbers to see what makes sense. Yeah, but that's what some investors will do. That'll carry a portfolio. They'll have 5, 10, 15 properties, and every 3 to 5 years or 5 to 7 years, they'll do a refi of all of them, take out $1 million. That's their $1 million in income they live on tax free, and they're still got their asset going. So they never lose the asset, and they have this cash flow in a few years to get a bump in it.
So why wouldn't so why would they not do a HELOC over?
Because
they have to pay it back.
Well, you have to pay it back, but your payments are going to be a lot higher.
Yeah, the interest rate is going to be higher on a HELOC.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
HELOC is only for short-term use. Don't use a HELOC for long-term use.
Right.
If you
So the goal for the people you were talking about with the several properties, they never essentially pay off their properties. They just always
Just
live
keep
off the income of refinancing.
So this is getting into kind of the weeds a little bit, but
Okay, yeah, I'm
so
sorry. This is just very
Sorry.
interesting.
Yeah,
We're good.
I will talk to you about this all day.
Yes.
Okay.
This goes against my personality. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
no.
So
You can cut this part. You can edit this part out.
yeah, we'll make this a whole other video. So there are 2 schools of thought. One school of thought is you pay off all the properties, and you use the cash flow, and that's what you live on, right? And then all your expenses are just your taxes and insurance. From a wealth building perspective, using debt is a better return on your investment. So for example, you have $100,000 house that you're looking at, and you have $100,000 cash. You can take that $100,000 cash, buy a $100,000 house, and that house is going to appreciate 3% per year. So now you're getting 3% appreciation. So you're earning 3% on your $100,000, right? Just basic mathematics.
Yeah.
Or you could take that 100,000 cash, buy 5 properties by putting 20% down. Now you've got $500,000 in real estate. You've got the same $100,000 you put in there, but each of those properties is earning 3% appreciation. So now you're making 15% on the 100,000. So that, and you use debt on leverage. So yes, you have a debt, your monthly cash flow is going to be less, but your earnings on that money is going to be higher because of you're using that debt. And so it's all about the wealth building strategy that works best for you guys.
Okay, so coming something that we've been doing, because we've been paying a little extra on our mortgage every month. Is that something you recommend us doing, or is it not worth, this year? Because
The residents, yes, right?
If the money is going to sit in a savings account, and not do anything, then yeah, pay extra towards your mortgage. If you're going to take that money and potentially put it in another investment, then that's when you have to look at which is going to give you a better return.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
because I mean, I guess like the plan right now is to get it to a level of equity where we can refi and then have the monthly lower down with the HOA. So that then you rent it out and not really pay anything at all. Let the renters do it. Yeah.
So I had a client, he was an investor, and he bought a property in DC, and he bought it in 2000 he bought it 2018. It has not appreciated. He paid $550 or something like that, and it's still worth $550. He's losing, I think it's like $400 a month that he's losing on that property. But when you analyze the property, because he's had it rented the whole time and the tenant is paying the debt to it, he's paying $400 a month in essence because he's losing it in order to get a debt pay down on that property of like $900 a month because the tenant's paying the mortgage, right? So even though he's losing cash flow, he's still gaining $500 a month in equity. So his return on his initial investment over the 5 years has still been like 7.5%. And I think those numbers may not add up what I'm saying. But when I analyze it, he was still earning 7.5% on his original investment, even losing $400 a month because of the debt pay down. And that was without appreciation. If that thing started appreciating, that money is going to go up. So with you guys, you're talking about paying down your equity. That's a good move right now. But you just have to think about it long term, as in, is it a step in the process of the long-term goal, right? But not necessarily the rule that you would apply to every situation, right? Once you put that money into your mortgage, it's no longer liquid. It's like, yeah, you're getting that equity, but it's no longer liquid. So that's just a matter of like, honestly, we could sit down and say, okay, what's your long-term goal? And look at it and say, yes, this is a good option, or maybe you put it here and save it.
Like budgeting, yeah.
And we could, and correct me if I'm wrong, invest in properties like the example you gave where he's losing $400 a month cash flow. You wouldn't want to do that 10 times, but it can be absorbed. Yeah. And unless you can afford it. If you're making $500,000 a year and $400 a month is nothing to you, you still have that investment return. But like for normal humans,
yeah.
I am too. Oh, okay. Yeah, you at least want to have maybe the majority of that debt paid each month by the tenant, so that you know
exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, and if you guys want to do that, if y'all want to sit down and look at like what your long-term goal is and what your strategy is right now, I'd be more than happy to do that with you.
Yes.
He is a happy dog. He's happy to be there. All right. Any other questions?
No, I think that's it. This is great. Thank you for having us.
No, absolutely. Yeah, and please send over any questions you guys have as you're reading and doing stuff. Like that's especially the investment stuff.
I think it would be good to have another maybe meet up for coffee or something to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. All right. Well, you guys have a good day. Thank you for your time. I figured this would be 15 minutes and we're almost at an hour. So yeah, good job.
Good luck editing.
Yeah, let us know. Link us the video when it's ready.
Okay, we'll do. All right. All right. You guys have a good day.
Bye.